Hey guys, this is Raven Shift, and today I'm going to show you the basics of setting up your car for drifting in Assetto Corsa. Now most of the cars are ready to drift right out of the box, but sometimes you do feel like you're either running out of power or maybe the track is a bit too tight, or maybe it has a lot of fast corners. This is where the car tuning comes into play. Now there are a lot of tweaks that you can perform depending on how much freedom you have been given by the car author, but this video is about the basics, so I'll try to keep it short and simple. Setup I/O. Here you can set up your current car based on the track so that you don't have to keep changing things every time you jump into a map. Now I have so many maps installed that it is pretty difficult to keep track, and I'm really lazy to set profiles for each track. So what I normally do is just scroll to generic and have a custom profile for the car there, then make a few tweaks according to the track. Gears. Here you can change the gear sets completely depending on how you want the power to be delivered. I'd suggest you try out different presets and stick with the one that you feel most comfy with. Now some cars do have the option to tweak every gear ratio individually, but that is too technical and I don't want to do it because it's too confusing, to be honest. So I'd say you stick to the final drive ratio and don't complicate things. Now if you look closely, the lower and higher you go changes the speed in every gear. So if you find that for a particular track you're hitting the rev limiter too much and losing power, or if you're not getting enough power in a particular gear, try increasing the ratio so that the speed for the gear drops and then give it a try. You'll see the car is able to slide more easily. Tires. Now some cars have a selection of tire compounds and every tire is slightly different, so try them out and find out which is the best for you. The pressure settings are pretty easy to understand. High pressure, less grip; low pressure, more grip. So what I normally do is just keep the front tire pressure lower than the rear so that the front has enough grip, and then adjust the rear pressure according to how much or how easily my car slides. In tandems, if you feel you're falling behind in the train, try reducing the rear pressure by a couple of PSIs and you should feel the car grip a bit more, which will allow you to carry more speed. Now there is no set rule as to how much pressure you need to go, as every car is different. So do a couple of laps around and find out the best settings that suit you. Fuel. This isn't really important for drifting unless you're packing too much or too little in your fuel tank. That will affect the weight of your car. Keep it at default because you'll be resetting to pits before you run out of fuel for sure. Electronics. This normally includes your turbo settings. I'd suggest you bind buttons on your keyboard or your wheel to adjust it on the fly, or you'll have to go back to pits every time if you want to increase or decrease your turbo pressure. Now some cars do have the MG UK option, or they have a few other options depending on the setup of the engine. So make sure you read the description box that pops up once you hover over those options. Alignment. I don't normally touch these as most drift cars in the car packs are already set up properly with the camber and toe settings, but if you still want to play around you can. Dampers. I don't even touch these. Drivetrain. Differential settings are what I'm still playing around with, but what I'd suggest is you lower both differential power and coast settings if you find that the car doesn't maintain the slide so that the car is more willing to rotate when you accelerate, and try increasing them a bit if you find that you're spinning out too often. Generic. I keep the engine limiter to 100%, brake bias set it somewhere between 64 to 68% so that it doesn't hinder with the rear wheels too much, and also helps you to gain more control over the car using left foot braking. I always keep the braking power between 90 to 95% so that I don't accidentally lock up the front wheels. Suspension. Here I only adjust the suspension height so that I don't keep scraping on bumpy tracks. You can lower the height to reduce travel and to make the car a bit stiffer. Also, some cars that you feel are low powered and are pretty difficult to slide, you can always increase the height a bit and use the weight transfer and body roll to initiate the drift. Now if you feel that I missed out on something important or may have messed up something, be sure to let me know in the comments below. And if you want to try out some pretty good 2 gears to drift on, check out this video. And if you have a Logitech wheel, check out the video for my wheel setup tutorial. This is Raven Shift. I'll see you in the next video.